Boom. Go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to show number 401 of the Off the Lip Radio Show, live from the beautiful Santa Cruz boardroom on Lower 41st Avenue right here in Pleasure Point. And tonight, I feel like I'm doing a wrestling match. Tonight, in this corner.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Wrestlers have like a single name. We got Manu.
Is in the house.
Who's in the house tonight.
Show some teeth, Manu.
You might see the Manu signs around town.
Oh, I've seen a couple of those.
He's running for county supervisor in a tight race. We're going to find out more about that tonight. So welcome Facebook Live and everyone tuning in on Santa Cruz Waves Facebook page. Comment away. Let us know where you're listening from if you see this. And Manu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, TC. Pleasure to be here.
You were here in November.
That was bad. That was a bad deal. An eon ago.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a decade ago compared to how life is today versus in November.
Yeah.
We bamboozled him last time he was here.
Ethan Bierman came in with a tough question.
Ethan Bierman from Fox News.
Well, I hope you guys got some tough questions for me tonight.
With Tom Brokaw's in the back.
Yeah. All right, bring it out.
What a difference. You started campaigning. I mean, this has been like, you said a year, right?
It was a year on September 6th that we had our kickoff. Yeah.
Is that normal, first off, the campaign a year in advance for a county supervisor position?
I would say that for a competitive race, maybe, yeah. I mean, I haven't been in a lot of supervisor races before, but, you know, really, I think part of it was because it's not an open seat, right? I'm running against an incumbent, 12-year incumbent, and so really had to get out there early and start making some waves.
Has COVID helped you in that manner, where it's giving you more length of time?
No, I mean, I'd say COVID overall has probably hurt for a couple of reasons when it comes to campaigning for a local race like this. I mean, first of all, we just can't get the momentum of and excitement of bringing people together for events, and you know, that typically that just generates so much enthusiasm and excitement. And then the other thing is, I mean, people are concerned about COVID, they're concerned about fires, and so they're concerned about national politics. And so a lot of the time, the stuff that is having an impact on our daily lives that county supervisor can really affect, like housing, homelessness, transportation, that all gets pushed to the back burner a little bit.
Are those distractions affecting fundraising?
I would say no. I mean, I've been blown away at how, you know, how generous people have been. Total number of donors. We have so much grassroots support, and I mean, it's really encouraging to see our community just rally. I mean, people who are aware get excited about this race and be all in.
Can we go further back and from when the campaign started? But how did you get involved in wanting to be in a campaign and wanting to be in a race and wanting to be a supervisor?
Right.
What the hell were you thinking?
But sometimes I wonder still today. You know, if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would never have said, like, I want to be a politician.
Because what do you do what's your real job?
Right, I work at a company called Paystand in business development.
Yeah.
And I took a leave of absence when the campaign started, because when it started taking up so much of my time. But yeah, I've worked for 4 different tech companies. And then I started one tech company myself that was actually kind of overlapped with public policy, called Civinomics. And we were trying to create a way for people to vote online and propose new policy online. I mean, I figured politics is such a mess, let's just kind of go around the current system.
So what did you...
Well, that's interesting too, because voting online makes sense. Through a DocuSign app or something, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, we were even thinking, like, before that, like, okay, maybe the vote's not totally, like, validated. If it's small enough, the Russians maybe, like, you know, aren't going to hack a vote here in Santa Cruz. Let's just prove that we can do it from, like, a social aspect and, like, but what we ran into was that you really do need elected official, someone who is you know, in a place of that can make laws, to listen to what people want done and act on it, and that wasn't happening. So that began my long process towards actually running myself.
So in the last election, did John Leopold have more votes than you, and how does it work? How does it work out that you come to still be in a race at this point?
That's a great question. I suppose it depends on how you count. So there were 6 people in the primary election, right? And John Leopold got 46%. I got 30%, and then the remaining 24% of the vote was divided between the next 4 candidates. Now, the 3 candidates after me all endorsed me. So if you add up all those percentages, it's actually 51.2%
Okay.
of the vote. So, really the primary was about, well, does anyone have a majority now? No? Okay, let's take the top 2 vote getters, and they go to the general election. So that was me and John.
Wait, did you know that rule, that very moment when after people had voted, or
Yes.
did you think you lost, or
No, that was actually exactly the result that we wanted.
oh, it was.
There's no way to beat someone, a 12-year incumbent,
Right.
as a newcomer, in a March primary. We just wasn't going to win outright. So
And with competition,
with
too,
yeah,
for those votes that you would dominate.
that's right. So the goal was always, let's get to a runoff, have a few more months to build some name recognition, and here we are. It's going great.
Do you think you gained more name recognition?
I think so.
Well, because there's a blonde driving down the street at TC.
I saw her. She's like, Manu!
Waving and stuff, like celebrity,
Right?
yeah.
Allie's a doll. She's really great. It's been a huge help.
Top 3 things that you wanted to, once you decided you wanted to jump in the race, what were top 3 things that you wanted to tackle, and are they the same today?
Yeah, I think so the top 3 things jumping into the race, obviously transportation. I was the executive director of Greenway, advocating for a trail in the rail corridor, not a train. And so we need that bike thoroughfare in our county. We need a lot more protected bike lanes. This whole, everyone driving everywhere all the time thing's not working. We've got to create a different paradigm. So transportation is real high up there. And it gets into land use and housing quite a bit. My friends, everyone's still renting in their 30s and 40s. I think the biggest divider between rich and poor is home ownership. We've got to create more opportunities for home ownership in this county. And then homelessness, it's so visible throughout our community all the time. We really have to, there's great solutions throughout the country to bring here, so we have to address that. So I think those are still the top 3. Obviously now we've got fire, we've got public safety, we've got economic we're on COVID, we've got economic recovery. So those things are all, they're all intertwined, and yeah, we can talk about that.
It's interesting with the rail right-of-way, and you and your opponent are polar opposites on your plans for that corridor. You are in the streets all the time. When you talk to people about it, how much, in your opinion, do people want a train versus a trail?
Well, let's just put it this way. I wouldn't have run on a platform of no train if I hadn't talked to a lot of people who don't want a train, right? And that's my fundamental complaint with the incumbent, is he just hasn't listened to what people want on this. I mean, there has never been a public opinion poll, a truly representative poll on train or trail.
No, I live on the train tracks. Nobody's asked me.
Right.
My fence falls and lands on the train tracks.
Yeah.
And nobody has asked me what I would like to see back there.
Yeah, no, and I collected, with the team, 10,000 signatures of people saying we want a trail, no train. So I talked to a lot of people about this. I feel pretty confident that the majority of the population.
Well, and just real quick, just to educate some of the people that are watching on Santa Cruz Waves Facebook page and future podcast listeners, explain how the county got the right-of-way, just in a short version, and what our options are, just so people know.
Can I switch out my mask?
Yes,
real
you
quick,
may.
so I'm not holding it all funny like that.
You're 6 feet away, you're fine.
Yeah.
Back up.
Back up's
Right.
on.
Yeah. It's like that bat's not, we gotta change bats.
Yeah, so what happened is, you probably know the Davenport cement plant, right? So that was pretty much the only thing that the train was being used for, to pull supplies in and take supplies out. And so when the cement plant closed in 2010, no more customer on the tracks.
Right.
Union Pacific, who owned the tracks, was like, well, now we can't make any money on this. Who wants to buy it? And the county stepped in and bought it at that point. And that was back in 2012 that we actually closed the paperwork on that and acquired it. So we've basically just been sitting on it with our train trail plan ever since, right? Passenger train with the trail next to the tracks. And, but we've been talking about this plan for, I mean, 30 years.
Right.
You know, I read an article from 1983. It could have been written yesterday about how we're doing another study on the train. Train's coming any day now. You know, here we are 30 years later, no train. I mean, the reason it's just not financially feasible for our county.
I just have a question about the spacing of a train and a trail on that corridor, because it's narrow in some spots. And I don't know how you could, I mean, nowadays, it seems to me with train corridors, the trains have to be fenced off in a suburban area.
That's just it.
Yeah, and so I just don't get the spacing on it.
Yeah.
Or if it's the viability of it being something that we don't have to raise taxes to,
Yeah.
you know, pay for.
I grew up with trains. I grew up in England, grew up with trains. That's the way we got around. Didn't need a car, but it was there it's been there for, you know, many years. It's part of the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And it works great. I just don't think you can come along later on and just start planting train tracks. I just don't understand. Let's say you cut the train from Watsonville to you want to go downtown. Well, after you get off the train here, you're going to go walk a couple miles down, you know, to get down. It just doesn't make, you know, the train in Capitola is going to stop at Capitola. But if you want to get to SoCal, after you get off the train, you're going to go walk 2 miles.
Right.
It doesn't,
My wife has a great suggestion. We were talking about this today. We were discussing the show tonight, and she said that it would be a total success if it went 60 miles an hour and had a couple of loop-de-loops on it.
That would be awesome.
You know, like it's like a 20-mile roller coaster.
Right.
And
you want to get more tourists to town.
Well, right.
insane.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is right. It's essentially a tourist train. I mean,
But
I
they're
like
not going to take it.
I like someone else's suggestion of like, hey, you want a train like that? Let's just get one of those like little. Let's get some more. What are they like tractors or something? You know, put the dragon face on them and just drive that down the tracks. And there you go. There you go.
Or get the bikes that it takes 8 people to pedal.
Yep.
And you serve drinks on it. They pedal down there. I mean, there's other ways to deal with it. I think you're on the right path personally.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. You know, ultimately, it's going to have to go to a vote for the people.
Yeah.
Because you know we've been working on this too long with the wrong plan. For it to really change gears, you know, I can help kind of prep some of the groundwork, but ultimately I'm going to put it out to a vote so you finally can vote on this CC. So you can too, Neil. Countywide vote, and it'll be in 2022, and then I'll do all the prep work from there, and then we'll build this thing.
My biggest concern with the tracks is that it turns into a homeless shelter.
That's
and that's because that happens to other bike trails in other counties. And
river levy.
And being the fact that I live on it, I have that concern, you know, because right now it's really hard to get shopping carts down the tracks, and it'll be much easier when it's paved.
Yeah.
But my concern is who's going to take care of that.
Great point. I got this concern all the time, right? It's going to become a homeless highway. I mean, and if you go down to the river levee in downtown Santa Cruz, you can see where this concern comes from. It's very valid.
Right.
And so, you know, we obviously have to solve homelessness and begin working on a solution as best as possible. And I think there's a lot of great examples. I'm actually really excited. I feel like we've kind of got a great 3-part solution, which is one, you know, have a mental health outreach team that you can call 911 or 211. We'll go out there, talk to a guy, try and get him to come somewhere place like Emmeline, where we can give them the services they need, put some tiny homes, pallet shelters at Emmeline so we can house people there, and then look at creating some more intentional communities, some tiny house villages with centered around some kind of work opportunities out, in different locations throughout the county to help with things like fire preparedness.
Right. Well, it sounds like that's a plan that has potential, in my opinion.
Right.
And mental health is a huge part of what the problem
Huge.
is. And that's,
My question is, are people out there trying to make Santa Cruz what it was 20 years ago? You know, we all missed we lost less people in the surf lineup, just less traffic, or are you trying to, are people interested in finding what you're going to do the next 10, 15, 20 years, what it's going to be like at that time?
That's a great question. You know, Santa Cruz is such a magical place. You know, we all love being here for that reason. And a lot of us are reluctant to see anything about it change, you know, myself included. I was born here, I grew up here. I love it the way it is now, and I don't want to see more people in the surf lineup, but what are you going to do? So I think that the reality is, though, the harder we try to keep Santa Cruz exactly the way it is now, don't build anything,
right.
That's actually going to change it the fastest, right? I mean, you want to talk about turning Santa Cruz into Carmel, right? I mean, yeah, don't build any new homes, and then look at what the housing market is doing today. People are moving here from the valley as fast as they can.
Oh, they're
Getting
working
out-
from home.
Yeah, working from home, getting out of places like Arizona where it's too darn hot. And so you're seeing homes today go for 10 to 30% over asking price because everyone wants to move here. And
Right.
so if we don't work with the change, then it's going to actually change things more, right? We have to continue to maintain Santa Cruz is a diverse community. That's why we have to build affordable housing. It's because that, I think what makes Santa Cruz cool is kind of that funky creative spirit, right? And we have to like make sure there's a place for that. We have to house people who bring that here. And if we resist change, it's just going to become, rich suburbia.
I guess you say we can't lose our art roots. You know, being an artistic, socially aware, mellow town. I wanted to back up a minute because there's been birthism rumors.
Okay.
So you just earlier broke the news. You're born and raised in Santa Cruz.
Correct, yeah. Born off of Seabright over the old Frederick Street Hospital.
My daughter was born at Frederick Street. Okay, well that's good to know because people want to know your history and if you're really in this because of your community roots, which it sounds like now we know.
Absolutely, yeah. My grandparents have lived in Live Oak my whole life, near 26th Avenue. My parents live out in Corralitos. So I really add both those sort of like town and country experiences, right? I know like issues with rural roads and fire from living in the country and, issues of homelessness and housing prices from being at my grandfather's here in town.
Has the ship sailed on housing prices? Is it just, is the toothpaste out of the tube on that?
Right.
And I don't know anybody. Oh, I got an affordable house for 150 grand in this town. You're like, what?
That's a good question. We have to change some of the rules if you really want to, make more affordable housing. So, for example, allowing tiny homes on property, right?
ADUs, a more affordable route to getting an ADU, because it's so expensive. It shouldn't be like that. Permit should be very cheap. It would help in the long run with having more people have a place to live.
Heck, the county should be giving away not only free ADU permits, but everything that goes with it, right? Because they're going to come reassess your property value anyway, right? So long term, the county's going to win, and you're going to win. So, yeah, I mean that's what the tech companies do, right? Is give it away for free, and then
it makes for people like we're talking about trying to afford these, $2 million, 1,000 square foot houses. You have to have roommates now. And that's what the ADU is. It's actually a roommate to help pay the mortgage more than anything because the people who are scratching to live here. And I think that's a great thing to have. So everybody in Facebook world listening, Manu's from Santa Cruz. Thank you very much.
There you go. Homelessness. I mean, we've been doing shows on homelessness for the last 7 years, right? And nothing's changed. And people say they're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and do the other. But you drive around Santa Cruz, and sadly, it's the same. Nothing's changed.
I will say this, sorry to interrupt on this, is that I went to Costco the other day, way cleaner down there. Like something happened, something happened down there around the Costco area that they're living somewhere else right now. They're not in the street in front of that place.
Right. I mean, I think there's the sanctioned camp in front of the county building, right? And one thing to remember is the reason the sanctioned camp is in front of the county building there is because it's the county that's responsible for dealing with homelessness. That's where the money for social services comes in from the state and from the federal government. It all flows into the county, and it's up to the county to deal with it at the local level, not the city.
Right. But that's not a county park, though. That's a city park, right? Or is that county building property?
I would have to look at like the lines of the property if it's part of the county's parcel there, or if it's a city park. I don't know for sure.
How, from your, I don't know how much you know about this, but how has the COVID pandemic affected homelessness in Santa Cruz?
Well, I mean, obviously we've gotten a lot more funding from the state with the whole Project Room Key and getting hotel rooms for people. So I think it's certainly put a lot of energy into the system.
And we got lucky. We've got lucky in the fact that there hasn't been some kind of massive outbreak.
Yeah. What I would like to see done differently, what I want to do differently is make sure that we use that energy to create a long-term solution, right? And not just, okay, people have a hotel room for whatever, 30 days, but when the pandemic's over, it's back to business as usual.
Do you see the word solutions come up a lot over the last since we've been doing the shows. We need a solution. There's a solution. And do you think if you win, do you think you can make these solutions that you have in mind stick and make them happen?
Yes, I wouldn't be running and doing all this hard work and taking all the mudslinging, etc., if I didn't think that I really could make a difference. I think, I think what the Board of Supervisors needs is some sort of new initiative, right? Sorry. I think I can be that force to help drive the whole body towards, okay, well, let's look at this new idea. Let's vote on this tomorrow, right? And right now, everyone's kind of sitting back, and it's not happening, and I think that's what I can bring.
TC, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the county and the infrastructure of our roads. It seems like it's getting worse before it's getting better. As a county supervisor, are you involved in getting those kind of things, programs funded? Is that something that you could help do? Because obviously it's a problem here in our county, everywhere.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, and I think we really see it with something like the CZU Lightning Complex fire, and people trying, worrying about their escape routes all of a sudden. It's like, wow, we really need those roads to work. Like I said, my parents live in Corralitos, so I was out visiting them. It's like I was dodging potholes the whole way up. We actually just built a new evacuation route from the back of their property to connect to another road there. So that was a private initiative, but I think the county needs to take a very active role in saying, hey, look, these roads almost touch. Let's connect these two for our evacuation route. And asking the fire districts about that as well. But, the county supervisors were originally road supervisors, so roads are pretty much at the top of their duties.
So if you go to a place like New Jersey, down the Jersey Turnpike, the roads are perfect, and you do not see a scrap of garbage anywhere. It's pristine, but they pay to use those roads every 5 miles. There's a toll booth that takes the roads. I always used to think how stupid that was. And this is you guys getting ripped off. But you know what? They're not. The roads are perfect. There's not a spot of trash anywhere. And I don't know if we could institute something like that here, or if it would, how it would go down. I don't know. Pay to drive Highway 17. Pay to drive Highway 1.
Yep. I'm all for it. Is the short answer. The thing is, nothing's ever free, right? There's no free lunch.
No.
If you're not actively paying for your roads the way they do in New Jersey, well, with money, you're paying in your time. And so, I think having fast track lanes on some of our roads would be a great idea, because it provides that incentive of like, well, should I drive or not, right? And if it's going to cost you $1.50 or $2, you might not.
Right.
There's also like areas where it can help with too much through traffic, like Old San Jose Road, right? People are always taking that as a cut through to avoid Highway 17. If we put if we made that a fast track or toll road as well, then that would generate funding to maintain that road better. And you could look at ways to reduce the charge for seniors or folks that actually live there and have to are already paying for it in terms of their property taxes. We can look at ways to structure it that way.
Or get a year membership or something.
Sure.
It's interesting. I had a guy from Granite Construction here in the business here at the store a few days ago, and I was asking him why they stopped work on the highway, and it was because of the fire. But I said to him, I go, they had to cut, the guardrail was 8 inches too short out there on highway, so they had to make it 8 inches taller. But the last time they did it wrong. But what I said to him was, geez, if only you could have just filled in that space, we would have a 3-lane highway. Instead of all the work they put into putting that new guardrail in the middle, if you just flattened it out with concrete and put a guardrail in the middle, we'd have. And he says that everybody on their crew said the same thing. Like, why Santa Cruz? We're doing all this work, but they're not finishing it.
Do people bash that guardrail? Are that many people hitting that guardrail in the middle? I remember Highway 17 before the concrete barrier.
Yeah, well, that was like blood.
I mean, I don't think the actions really put the rail up. I don't know how much. I don't know the facts, but
if you save one life, it's worth it, in my opinion.
Okay.
So we'll just hold it at that. But getting back to the highway corridor, is a 3-lane Highway 1 out there? Is that something that is in your scope?
Yeah. So first of all, I agree. Like I had the same thought about putting that barrier in. Like, come on, guys, measure twice, cut once. You know, if we're gonna do this eventually, you know, why not do it now instead of putting this fancy guardrail in? So the short answer to your question is a 3-lane Highway 1 out there is yes, right? I mean, right now they're talking about doing the auxiliary lanes, which basically push the boundaries of the highway out to their maximum possible extent. Auxiliary lanes are where you go from entry to exit. It's not a true through lane. And then when you do that, you create a little more space that you could then use in the middle for
Merge.
for a true 3rd lane. I mean, so and of course the big cost in creating that lane is redoing all the overpasses. Like for example, 41st overpass, right? You got to redo that bridge so that that pier is not causing a problem right in the middle. So I would say 2 things. One, I think creating that 3rd lane could be an opportunity, right, around making it a fast track lane, creating incentives for carpooling. You got a place for the bus that can run on time. Emergency vehicles can have dependable service. If you need to get somewhere for an appointment quickly, you could pay. You'd have dependable service. Of course, we also have to be aware that 60% of our carbon emissions in Santa Cruz come from transportation. So, if we don't do it right, if like, for example, if it was just another free lane and everyone was driving, well, now that's a heck of a lot more emissions we're putting out.
Right.
I do think, though, that if you have incentives for electric vehicles and have a fast track lane, you could actually incentivize good behavior.
Well, I do know as the Capitola Mall gets into its remodel phase and Capitola grows 12% with the new people that are going to live above the mall, 41st and Highway 1 at 5 o'clock on a Friday is not going to get any better. And it's just going to back up further and further down the road. So in my opinion, I think a 3rd lane is mandatory. I know that by 2045 there's an electric vehicle and truck mandate, so eventually we will, I think, have alternative. I think the 71 Camaros are going to be dinosaurs.
Right. But you're going to buy me one of them.
Well, it's good to hear that you sort of think that that's potentially great. I love the idea of an HOA lane or a toll lane that could help subsidize that construction.
It's the only way we get the money to build it. Yeah.
So you're in office day 1, right? First thing you're going to do is what?
So the easiest thing we can do is finally get a protected bike lane in here on Portola, right? Let's help guys like the Over the Hill gang. They finally got all their outdoor seating. They got the taco truck. Now we just need more people going by, right? And so let's help kind of extend the outdoor environment with the protected bike lanes that were talked about with the Portola corridor plan, Pleasant Point corridor plan. That was like 2 years ago, and there was wasn't 100% consensus, but there was a lot of agreement that kind of doing that out here, putting in protected bike lanes, improving the parking, would be a good thing. So
that's all very well and done in the summertime when people can ride their bikes, and in fact in the wintertime, because you're going to be getting in November.
In January.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit nippy around here.
Yep. Come on, we've got good weather even in the winter.
Right.
So safe bicycling is huge.
Yeah. It's just easy to do.
Well, and it's flat. We are blessed to live in a flat town. And commuting by bicycle, and especially the future of electric bikes, which is growing astronomically. That is, we should encourage that transportation. Like, why isn't there a giant rebate on electric bicycles in this town?
Oh, that's a great point, right? It's our Monterey Bay Community Power, right? They give subsidies for electric cars.
Right.
Why not just, instead of $2,000 subsidy for a car, why not chop it up into 4 subsidies for $500 for an electric bike? That encouraged a lot more people to shift.
Yeah. Everybody who rides them has a shit-eating grin on their face, and they are like a happy dog, have their head out the window of a car down the highway. It's insane, and I think we should encourage that more.
Yeah. So then the next thing I'm going to do is order some pallet shelters and get the first, say, 50 most at-risk homeless individuals off the streets and into some kind of shelter.
Speaking of that, how are we doing up there in SoCal, do you think? With
the transition age youth trailers?
Yeah. Has that been successful as far as something you would have done?
Well, I think ultimately, we're in a health crisis. I need a place to go. I'm not going to say like don't put them here, but I think that more long-range planning would
Right.
have been helpful.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, like the solution for homelessness is homes, and that means a long-term place. A home is a place you can be for a long period of time. So the big issue I see with the Seventh-day Adventist site for those trailers is, I mean, that's not where they should be long-term. You know, I would have much rather seen a county site, a county-owned piece of property.
For example.
So, for example, there's one behind the Watsonville Health Clinic
Okay.
on Freedom Boulevard, where there's a metro line, within walking distance to the South Campus of Cabrillo College, right next to a health clinic where you can get services, where there's a dental clinic. So, you know, that checks a lot of boxes for, you know, being near stuff. It's county owned. There was actually trailers on that site after
Right.
the earthquake. They just need to, you know, about $120,000. They could have improved, you know, 40 trailer hookups there.
Well, and I heard John Leopold said that was a temporary trailer site up there, but I heard from a neighbor who says that they heard there's more trailers going to that site.
That was the original plan. It was kind of, it was walking back a little bit, but yeah, again, I mean, you know, there's this in chess, right? You want to put your pieces where they're going to be best and not have to move them again. And so I think the same goes for something like this, with providing county services. Like, let's just decide what the best place is and go there, and think about all the money we could be essentially investing in this problem rather than kind of burning it just to stay in place.
You should bring up where you go to use a lot is the fairgrounds, and you're talking about how the fairgrounds losing their funding.
It's well, because the governor took away funding for fairgrounds. They have to become their own business and incur their own revenue and expenses. And it's good to keep them responsible, but I feel like it's also such an important facility for disasters like right now, for livestock, for the firefighters, for people to evacuate and take shelter. As well as community events, and potentially even for what you're saying, for some tiny homes for people who maybe have transportation, who aren't dire, but they're in need, and maybe that could help keep the fairgrounds in business for a little longer, because I worry about the health of it, because I love the fairgrounds myself.
Yeah, I love them too.
And so I don't know if that's a potential as a site.
It could be. I mean, the county owns a fair amount of vacant land in different sites that could be considered and should be. You know, let's look at them all and say, okay, you know, how many homes could be put there? You know, what are the relative pluses and minuses of each site?
It seems to me like you could get have it be a Google town or something. You know, like get some corporate support to make that happen.
Well, yeah, you know, the most successful communities like this, like for example, there's one in Austin, Texas called Community First Village. They do have a good mix of people, right? People who are sort of, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, missionaries that are going to just help the community and be a part of it. And so I think they actually have like Airbnb rooms, right, at this other community. And so you have, you know, any community is diverse, right? Any good community. And so that's actually true of these places for people who are coming from homelessness as well.
You want to tell us some of the supporters you have and, you know, to support you and who've come to your aid and
Some of your favorites?
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about homelessness, so I got to thank Roland Rebley of the, you know, of the Rebley Family Shelter.
Built the skate park in Aptos.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he was one of the donators with Richard Novak.
That's awesome. Yeah. Gail of Gail's Bakery, former mayor of Capitola. Sam Story of Capitola City Council, and then in Scotts Valley, Randy Johnson, who was just, you know, had to evacuate his city and welcome folks back. He's the current mayor. Derek Kim, also on the Scotts Valley City Council.
I used to play soccer with Derek. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you seen the momentum build? Have you, since you first started? I mean, obviously, since you first started, has it grown and grown? Do you have a good following?
Yeah, I'm really blown away.
Okay.
You know, I always wanted to create something that kind of took on a life of its own, and I never would have guessed it was my own name and my own campaign that would do that.
Or you're like Bono. You got like one name, you know, like
Right.
you've taken on this persona.
Yeah, I mean, great. I should say what my name means, right? Manu means bird in Hawaiian or Tahitian.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why we got these little birds here on the logo.
Got it.
So it's little, and yeah, so I grew up visiting family down there, and what motivated me to get into public policy was, you know, you go to the islands, the first thing you want to do is run and jump in the water, and when I went, like when I was 12, I got in the lagoon and it's a little browner, and you realize like coral was dying and all this algae was growing, and it's just this crazy, disturbing feeling when the place you kind of go to escape the world, like the world's crept in
Right.
a very dark way, and so addressing sudden coral death and climate change, that's a big reason it motivates me to do this work.
Okay, I saw on Facebook, hope you don't mind me asking this question. I saw on Facebook, I saw the battle commence, TC.
The battle?
People were stealing signs.
Oh.
Okay, I saw that on Facebook. I'm like, oh my.
Is that going on?
Is that going on? What's going on?
It's been going on since the beginning of the campaign. You
Really?
know, I like to think that, we tell all our supporters, don't steal signs, we're going to play sportsmanly. So, yeah, I mean, but could people do it? I think we've had a lot more signs stolen than my
Can you
opponent.
stick signs anywhere? Can you just...
No, you're not allowed to put them on public property, or you're not allowed to put them on private property without permission. So yeah, we really focus on making sure we have permission for every
Right.
sign. I mean, signs are expensive, It's like, even the little ones are like $5, or $7, depending on how big your order size
I
is.
see a lot of your signs around.
Yeah,
I mean, you're making some inroads in sign placement for sure.
we've had a lot of great volunteers talking to their neighbors and putting them up.
Well, I wanted to ask you really quick because there's Super PAC donators.
Uh-huh.
If we dug into your donations, are we going to see any Super PAC money in there?
No, I do not accept money from PACs.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. It's all individual contributions. The maximum is $500 per person. And so, I mean, these are all people who live in our community, right? I mean, the vast majority live right here in Santa Cruz County. I mean, what motivates someone to give to a local candidate, right? It's
Right.
They want to see their community be a better place.
Right.
Well, the Super PAC sort of has a little conspiracy to me a little bit, based on, are you buying favors? It's a little bit of Trumpism in that, Are you donating money to get favors?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is at work. And I mean, no one in this county is more than my opponent has benefited from PAC money. So actually, when he was elected for the first time in 2008, the SEIU, right, the Service Employees International Union, threw $60,000 into the race right at the end. And so, I mean, typically a race is around $100,000, so it actually represented more than 50% increase to his total budget. And, that definitely had an impact in the race. It caused the supervisors at the time to say, whoa, maybe we should reconsider campaign finance laws here locally.
By the end of the campaign, you spend every single penny, and if there's an excess, does it get returned to
Right.
the people who donate to you?
You pretty much do try to spend
Every penny.
single penny, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't. If you have a little left over, you can save it for the next campaign, if there's a next campaign, and so you wouldn't give it back to people
Yeah.
if
And
if
how can people join your campaign or volunteer? Or Sergio's kid, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
He asked me that he wants to intern for you.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Sergio, you can go to manukoenig.com, and there's a get involved form on there. You can submit that. You can email me at manuforsupervisor@gmail.com, and there's a phone number on the website if you're old school like that too.
You better be careful. This is Sergio's son, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Because,
Oh, sorry.
because
Yeah.
no. Because in 4 years he'll take your job.
Yeah, he's going to college in New York. He's going to be a stockbroker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a motivated young lad.
That was
for
at
sure.
11 years old.
Yeah.
Well, Lorenzo, I hope you do get into local politics. I hope you do try and take my job. We need more young people in this calling. And yeah, I don't want to be supervisor for 16 years.
You have a panel coming up on the fire, I guess. Is that something that we can let people know about?
Absolutely, yeah. This Thursday at 6 o'clock, talking to Liz Ann of the Fire Safe Council about how to harden your home against fire and what you can do to ensure you've got a safe evacuation route. And we'll be talking about policy improvements the county could make for fire. I mean, I should say, you know, of course, fires have been a horrible tragedy, right? I mean, we've seen almost a quarter of the county burn, 900 people lose their homes. And, you know, what you may not know, though, is that our county was really horribly unprepared for this. There was actually a civil grand jury report that came out in July, right, like just barely over a month ago, that said, you know, we're unprepared, we don't know where the hot spots are, right? We don't even, after the whole Paradise fiasco, right, we don't even know where the PG&E problem points are in this county. You know, places like Bradley School are not getting a regular fire inspection. So we've really fallen down in a lot of ways as a county addressing fire.
Well, it's kind of like we fell asleep. It's after Paradise Fire. It was going to happen here. Soon, it was going to happen here.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be part of the future. But yeah, thankfully we got help from all over, as you know, TC, all over the state.
We were lacking about 1,000 firefighters for the fire, you know, because of the fact that they were everywhere else, and that they were so limited on being able to use people that are incarcerated. California Conservation Corps. I told, who do we have on last week from Aptos Fire?
Brian Peters.
Brian Peters. He's a battalion chief down there, and I said to him, I would love to be a volunteer. That if there was a program that I could do a couple of days of training to where maybe when a fire comes out and they put out an email saying, hey, anybody want to volunteer? Maybe I just stop traffic or something. I don't have to be out there fighting fires. Maybe I could feed people. But it seems like that could be a program we could implement in the future of having almost like a volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse in these mountains. And I feel like it's only going to get worse everywhere. So if you become, and best of luck, if you become the county supervisor, I hope that's a program that you can consider.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, first of all, I felt exactly the same way. I'm like, I don't want to just be sitting here, you know, with this hazy, the smoke everywhere. Like, I feel like I need to do something.
Right.
And I would have loved to join a volunteer program like that too. And I think that's fundamentally what we have to do as a county is, you know, I mean, look at the business world today, right? I mean, the largest cab company in the world doesn't own a single car. The largest hotel chain doesn't own a single hotel, right? It's Uber and Airbnb. And so now the public sector's got to start thinking that way too. How can we connect citizens with the work that needs to be done, right? How do we connect volunteers for fire, for roads, for maintaining open space, and then. Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned the fact that the convict fire brigades weren't out, right? We were down by 50% in this in the state. You know, we were talking about homelessness earlier and job programs. Those would be great candidates to be able to help out with something like this. And I'm not saying, hey, you guys got to go fight fires. It's like, look, you can help with fires. We can teach you how to work in a kitchen. You know, teach you how to work on a garden. Like, pick a profession. Like, we'll help you cultivate it.
That's a good idea for a county to have that.
Well,
people can go volunteer.
The sheriff, they have the sheriff's posse.
Yeah.
It's a search and rescue arm of the sheriff's volunteers, people who are savvy on motorcycles, and they practice and train. I honestly feel the county could do that with fire. And I know that, like, if you feel that way and I feel that way, there's more who feel that way like us. Yeah. And I'd be happy to do a couple of days of training, and then, you know, when they sound the horn, I'll drop everything and go help save my community.
Absolutely.
And so I just hope that, you know, if you do get in this position with the county, that's something maybe we could implement.
Absolutely.
Do you have a kickoff campaign yet?
We're going. We had the kickoff way back. Like I said, I think in October of 2019. So. I would, love to have a party with you, but no, right now we're just campaigning.
All right.
When do mail-in ballots land on people's doorstep?
Soon.
Okay.
What is today? It's the 9th. They'll be out in about a month exactly. So our county clerk of elections is going to mail them all to people. I believe she's moved it up even to October 2nd to October 5th. So.
I'll tell you something. Don't put it in the mailbox on Portola because it's full of mail, and it has been for over a week.
Wow.
Topped off.
Really?
Yeah, and so I mean, that's it. Are you concerned at all about? I mean, it's all over the news. Are you concerned about mail-in ballots?
I should probably be more concerned. I think my strategy is always to just drop it at the county for like another polling place on the day of the election. So, I like to be able to vote from home and take your time. We're all going to be doing that. You can look up stuff online. There's a bunch of state ballot initiatives, and then I would just turn it in right in front of the county building.
And that's the third floor of the Santa Cruz?
No, it'll be right in front.
There's a drop box.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know on the third floor, that's where the elections office is up
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you strategize? How do you plan? How do your campaign? You got 2 months to go, right? What's coming up for you? How do you plan to target the right areas and get the most out of it?
Yeah, so I mean, we know how I did in the primary, right? We have all that data back by where it did well, where it didn't do well, and so we've really cultivated like each community, right? So we have people to talk to in each neighborhood. I've always been impressed by how like the day of the election, that's not when you win, right? You win in like the month before.
Yeah.
At least 2 weeks before. So really right now is the most critical time.
Do you think people have made up their mind already?
Oh, no, I'm certain that many haven't. Some have, certainly. But certainly not everyone. A lot of people haven't thought about this race yet. But you'll be aware of it very soon. I mean, most of the spending comes in the last couple of weeks.
So how can people learn about you and your campaign?
Website?
Website's a good spot. ManuKoenig.com.
And Facebook page?
Facebook is, definitely most current. We're always posting new stuff there. Facebook and Instagram. It's at Manu for Supervisor.
Right. We wish you good luck.
Thank you, Neil.
It's the way this election is. Do you feel like it's ending a little earlier than the normal first week of November ballot? It seems like.
Oh yeah.
So when you said it's like go time now, because people are in 2 weeks are going to have their ballots, and that's when it really. That's like election day.
Sure. You mean 10% of people are going to get their ballots and turn it in like very next couple days.
Right.
I'm going to wish both candidates good luck, because I think for either you or Mr. Leopold, it's a tough job. It's kind of a thankless job.
I would say that, yeah.
We went down to do that proclamation down at the city for Dave King, and the people, the crackpots, and it was a strange scene. I went down there with booths. I'm like, thankfully we're first to speak and we get to leave. But I think for both candidates, it's a lot of work. Both working hard, doing what you think's right. You're working for the town. You're working for the county, and I think it's a thankless job, and I wish you both luck.
Have you guys debated?
Yeah, we have debated, and we certainly will debate a few more times before this is all over. So you'll get to see us side by side.
Is that a Zoom debate? How's that work?
Yeah, I'm encouraged because I think the biggest debate in the primary was the one that the Sentinel and the Santa Cruz County Business Council hosted at Cabrillo. And I think we packed about 150, 180 people into a classroom up there. But people are getting so good at attending Zoom events, right? And it's a lot easier than driving down to Cabrillo on I forget what it was, Tuesday night or something. So I think we could actually see much higher turnout and engagement in some of this. Because everyone's now doing it online.
Yeah, or the combination. Or maybe you can only have 60 people at that event, social distancing. I don't know the parameters of it. Right. If you were to do it in that auditorium.
Yeah, no, I think online probably
would be the only way to go.
Makes most sense. Yeah. What was it you were going to say? Oh yeah, Neil, you were talking about the thankless job that this is, and I think the reality is that I can get in there and be a representative that's twice or 3 times as good as the incumbent is now, but it's still going to be, just the way it's set up now, almost an impossible job.
Right.
And so it's really up to me or whoever gets in there next to fix the systems, right? To find better ways to work with people so that the outcomes are more productive, so that people feel more effective. I mean, even simple stuff like, why are the meetings at 9 a.m. for all the important business? The city has evening sessions, so people who work 9 to 5 can attend, or people with kids. If you just move the important items to the evening,
Right.
that would help more people be involved.
And that's just, I mean, that's like, why are elections on midweek?
Yeah.
You know, and why aren't elections a national holiday?
Yeah.
You know, it's like the most important day of the year, in my opinion.
Especially when we have holidays that are ridiculous.
Well, or why isn't the election day on a national holiday?
Right. We can
Yeah.
have it.
You know, like
I'm all for voting day. Yeah.
yeah, you know, to me it's such a natural and here's, I mean, I know why, because they don't want those people to go out and vote who are, you know, working and struggling. They want them to still struggle. But I hope that if you do get in there, I hope that it is rewarding for you. I hope it isn't a thankless job.
Yeah.
And I hope when you leave, you look back and say, I'm proud of what I accomplished.
And we
Yeah.
ask everyone to get out and vote or mail in their ballot. Please vote.
Your name's on the most important election of this century, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big election.
That was Tom Brokaw's question. He's coming out right now.
It
I
is.
agree.
You know, this quite possibly in our lifetime might be the biggest election of our lives, and your name's on that ballot.
It's exciting. It's definitely a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I like to think we've gone through hell this year, and now we've got a sense of how the heck we get out.
Get
And
back into heaven again.
Yeah, November is going to be the turning point.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'd like to help provide that for this county.
Cool.
I
Thanks,
know
Tom.
you're gonna vote, so good luck,
Yep.
and we'll have to get you back on.
Yeah,
Win, lose, or
hopefully-
draw,
yeah.
we'd like to have you back and to hear about these next 2 months.
Should be
And-
boardroom.
and-
This should be a boardroom debate.
It was, you know,
Hey, I'm happy to do a boardroom debate.
All right.
we can zoom it out of here, you
Yeah.
know, and I think we have a rapport with John
Yep.
that I think that he would welcome that as well.
Yeah.
So
We can do it.
Neil,
I'll ask
reach
around.
out and
Yep.
Manu, we'll let you see how it goes.
At least it'd be casual.
Very casual.
Bring have some beer, you know, some appetizers.
Sure.
We're human.
Yeah.
Competitors and human,
Right.
and we'll keep you posted on that. And listeners out there, if you want to see that debate here on the show,
Let us know.
yeah, let us know.
Yeah. Manu, thank you very much for coming on the show.
We got some sponsors here, Neil. All right, here come the sponsors.
I want to thank Surf City Sandwich. I want to thank Steak from Surf City Sandwich. What did I have in there the other day?
Here we go.
No, it was
Every
good.
week we
I
talk
had
about
the
what you
tiki
ate.
tuna. The tiki tuna, so tasty. Merch for socks.
Got him.
Got 'em. I want to thank Cindy for merch for socks. Thank you
Hey,
so
Manu
much.
gets a pair of socks
I
again.
Cindy is an endorser.
I
Excellent.
want to thank Chill Out Cafe.
Where they roll
Where they roll the fatties. I had one of those the
fatties.
other day too.
I had one too. Yeah.
So good. Beach Nest Vacation Rentals. That's also run by John from Chill Out Cafe.
Hey, and also Beach Nest, getting some evacuees in those homes.
They
John, good
stop-
job.
They stop people from taking. They ask people not to take their vacations in their Airbnbs, so they can house the evacuees. That's
Well done.
cool.
If you're looking for a vacation rental, go to
Nest
Beach
Vacation
Nest.
Rental. People's Coffee. Yep, People's
Curtis.
Coffee, the best coffee in town. Pizza One and Aptos.
Yeah, I know you stopped there. a
I
bunch.
went to. I took one to Rosie at KSDO the other day. She loved it. So
Do they
good.
just, when you walk in the door, do people just hand you food? Do they know that you're there for?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Jamie Jansen, which I have not been going to, the Santa Cruz Quarter workout at all.
Me neither.
God darn it. I'm coming back, Jamie, I promise. Aloha Island Grill. Want to thank Numa. You and I are going to go to see. You want some dinner after the show?
Yeah, let's go.
All
We're
right.
going to go see Timmy at Pono.
Timmy.
Listening snack for your custom-made earplugs.
Justin makes the best plugs, everybody, hands down.
Fisherman boaters and like the wave clock is your nautical station for waves and tides showing you real-time ocean conditions on sale at thewaveclock.com.
And question, someone asked me how much wave clocks cost. Do you know?
$25.
Okay,
Cheap.
well, very affordable. Okay.
Yeah. The Kayak Connection. Great time to rent a kayak at the Santa Cruz Harbor or at Moss Landing.
Dude, you should have seen how many people were in Elkhorn Slough this weekend.
Tons of them.
Tons. It was
You see
amazing.
the new things they've added?
Yeah, they ride them like a bike.
Rogue Pie. Oh, yeah. CC, let me tell you something.
Can you get me a rogue pie?
I'm going to bring you rogue pie. I'm going to bring you. I had sausage rolls the other day.
Get
CC.
out of here.
The sausage rolls to die for.
Wow.
At roguepie.com. Sean Rovi, Farmers Insurance.
When we see him the bracelet,
I
dude.
surfed it 2 days this weekend.
Was he wearing it?
He's got the bracelet on.
God, he's got a anti-shark bracelet.
I didn't get bitten, so I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
it does work. But
No, but what happened?
he
Okay,
just
so
kept blocking. He stole my wave.
so
he stole.
he's gonna laugh when you get bit by a shark next to him.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But once again, stole my waves.
Is he coming on the show so we can talk about the
I
shark
told him to
bracelet?
come on the show.
I want to see it.
And the new sponsor, the delicious Holy Smokes Barbecue, which they sponsored the show. I have not eaten there yet.
Right at East Cliff Village, right?
Right.
Brand new.
Brand new.
And that's family owned?
It's at the East Cliff Shopping Center. They have dining service, curbside pickup. For all delicious menu options, go to Holy Smokes Country Barbecue and Catering.com.
I saw on social media you did a post about them.
Yeah.
People were like, that place is the bomb.
The bomb.
The bomb.
I want to thank the Merman this weekend. I did I did a video with the Merman. Almost 25,000 people live watched that video.
Were they playing fucking loud?
They playing fucking loud.
That's their tagline. We play
But I
fucking
gave
loud.
them. Once again, I want to thank Manu for coming on the show. Thanks, Manu. We appreciate it. You can catch
Any final words to your fans?
Just get out there and vote. I mean, it's only gonna happen. It's only things are only gonna change if you get involved and make a difference. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I hope you'll join me and participate in our democracy.
And if you've missed the show tonight, you can go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and Amazon Alexa for the podcast, or catch the live stream on Santa Cruz Waves or After the Radio Show Facebook page. Good night, and thank you for listening.